Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Absolutely.
Today we're doing a deep dive into 3 really interesting stories.
Sounds fun.
First, we're going to be looking at Elon Musk's surprising political moves.
Okay.
So we're going to unpack what's making Bitcoin more than just a buzzword.
All right.
And finally, we're going to check out SpaceX's latest Starship test.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Okay, let's talk about Elon Musk. I mean, the guy is always making headlines.
Right.
But lately, it's been for his, shall we say, cozy relationship with Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Some sources even describe him as a co-president.
Interesting.
That's not exactly typical Silicon Valley behavior, is it?
It's definitely an unusual alliance, but if you think about it, both Musk and Trump share some key traits.
Yeah, like what?
Well, they're both incredibly ambitious and used to calling the shots.
Yeah, for sure.
So the question becomes, what's motivating this unlikely partnership?
Well, from Trump's perspective, I can see the appeal of having someone with Musk's tech knowledge and, star power in his corner.
Definitely. Yeah.
Gives him an edge in an area where he might not have as much expertise.
Exactly. Trump benefits from Musk's tech-savvy and cultural influence.
For sure.
It's a way for him to boost his image, especially when it comes to innovation and future-forward thinking.
Right.
But it's not just a one-way street.
Oh.
Musk has a lot to gain from this alliance, too.
Like navigating the regulatory maze.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Having a direct line to the president can certainly smooth the way for Musk's ambitious ventures.
Definitely.
But it goes beyond that.
Okay.
Musk is clearly playing the long game here.
No.
He's aiming for political influence that extends far beyond Silicon Valley.
I see.
And this partnership is a strategic move in that direction.
But some sources mention that not everyone in Trump's inner circle is happy about Musk's growing influence.
Oh, really?
Will this alliance backfire on them?
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance of power.
Yeah.
When you have strong personalities, like these clashes are bound to happen, especially if their ambitions start to conflict.
For sure.
If Musk's influence grows too much, or if Trump's team feels threatened, it could definitely undermine the whole partnership.
Wow.
It's a high-stakes game with no guaranteed winner.
It's a lot of uncertainty there.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about Bitcoin.
Okay.
The sources we have suggest it's moving beyond just speculation and hype and starting to become a more serious asset.
You're right. What's interesting here is the way people are viewing Bitcoin.
Oh, how so?
After the 2020 election, we saw a 100% increase in purchases.
Wow, really?
And instead of trying to make a quick buck, people are holding onto their Bitcoin for the long term, seeing it as a store of value like digital gold.
Wow, that's a big shift.
Yeah.
What's driving that change?
Well, for one thing, the platforms that cater to Bitcoin enthusiasts are focusing on services that emphasize Bitcoin as a foundational asset, not just a way to get rich quickly. We're seeing more options for securely buying, storing, and transferring Bitcoin, and even borrowing against it.
So it's becoming more integrated into everyday financial life.
Exactly. And we're also seeing the emergence of traditional financial products like Bitcoin ETFs and options, which further legitimize it in the eyes of investors. The key here is liquidity, how easily you can buy, sell, or trade an asset.
Okay, I need you to break that down for me. What exactly is liquidity, and why is it so important for Bitcoin?
Sure. Think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine trying to sell a rare comic book.
Okay.
It's valuable, but finding a buyer takes time because it's not something that's traded very often.
Right.
Bitcoin is becoming more like a popular comic book, easier to buy, sell, or trade.
Okay.
That makes it more attractive for everyday use and opens up new possibilities.
That makes sense. So greater liquidity equals greater potential for Bitcoin to become mainstream.
Precisely. And this brings us to a truly fascinating idea that one of our sources explores.
Oh, what's that?
The possibility of Bitcoin becoming a strategic reserve for the U.S. economy.
Whoa. Now, that's a bold concept.
Oh.
But I have to admit, I'm a little lost. What does that even mean?
Well, let's look at some historical examples.
Okay.
Think about the 1933 gold confiscation when the U.S. government forced people to sell their gold.
Right.
Or the 1971 decision to abandon the gold standard altogether.
Okay.
These events demonstrate how governments have always sought ways to manage and protect their financial standing.
So you're saying Bitcoin could be a modern-day solution to these age-old economic challenges?
Potentially, yes. It's decentralized, meaning it's not controlled by any single entity.
Right.
And it has a limited supply, making it resistant to inflation.
Okay.
These characteristics make it appealing as a way to hedge against economic instability.
Okay, I'm starting to see the logic here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a pretty radical departure from traditional economic thinking, isn't it?
Absolutely, but radical departures are often where true innovation happens. If the U.S. government were to back Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, it would signal a major commitment to technological leadership and could potentially reshape the global financial landscape.
Wow. This is all so much bigger than I initially realized.
Right.
Okay, before we move on to SpaceX, I have to ask, what does all this mean for the average person?
Yeah.
Should we be rushing out to buy Bitcoin?
That's a personal decision based on your own financial goals and risk tolerance.
Okay,
We're not offering financial advice here,
sure.
but what I will say is that understanding Bitcoin's potential impact is crucial for everyone.
Right.
It's not just a niche technology anymore, it's a force to be reckoned with.
Great point. Now let's blast off to SpaceX and talk about their latest Starship test. It wasn't perfect, but they made some significant progress.
Indeed. The test showed remarkable precision during re-entry and successfully ignited a Raptor engine during descent.
Wow.
These are crucial steps towards achieving a fully reusable two-stage rocket, which is a game-changer for space travel.
That's the holy grail of space travel, right? Reusable rockets.
Yes, absolutely. Think about it. Reusability drastically reduces the cost of space travel.
Yeah,
It's like comparing a one-time use airplane ticket to a lifetime pass.
makes sense.
Suddenly, space becomes more accessible for everyone, scientists, entrepreneurs, and maybe one day, even everyday people.
Okay, let's talk Mars. SpaceX has always had their sights set on colonizing the red planet. Is that really a possibility, or is it just science fiction?
Well, SpaceX COO Gwynne Shotwell predicted that Starship could be launching an incredible 400 times a year within 4 years.
Wow.
And they're not just launching, they're also developing orbital refueling technology, which is essential for missions beyond low Earth orbit.
So they're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk.
Exactly.
That's incredible. What's the government stance on all of this? Are they on board with the idea of Mars missions?
Discussions within the current administration seem to be leaning towards exploratory missions to Mars within the next 4 to 5 years. And most likely those initial missions will be unmanned.
So a lot could happen in the next few years. This feels like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It really does. And it's all happening at an incredible pace. The innovations we're seeing today are just the beginning of what's possible. It definitely makes you wonder what the world will look like in like 5, 10, 20 years. Will we be living on Mars?
Will Bitcoin be the dominant currency?
Will Elon Musk be president?
Okay, maybe that last one is a bit far-fetched, but who knows,
I
right?
think he got that right.
Anything seems possible these days.
With someone like Musk, you can never rule anything out.
True.
But speaking of possibilities, I think it's important to remember that we're not just passive observers in all of this.
Right.
We have a role to play in shaping the future.
It's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of these technological advancements and forget that they're just tools.
Yeah,
Ultimately, it's up to us to decide how we use them.
exactly. We can use these tools to build a more equitable, sustainable, and prosperous future for everyone. Or we can allow them to amplify existing inequalities and create new problems. It all comes down to our choices and our values.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that famous quote often attributed to Einstein.
Yeah.
It has become appallingly obvious that our technology has exceeded our humanity.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
We need to make sure our ethics and our values keep pace with our technological advancements.
Couldn't agree more. It's a crucial conversation to be having, especially as these technologies become more powerful and more integrated into our lives.
Well said.
Right?
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the complex world of political alliances to the potential of Bitcoin to disrupt traditional finance,
Right.
to the incredible progress SpaceX is making in space travel. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty energized and optimistic about the future.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see what humans are capable of achieving when we set our minds to it.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder that we need to stay informed and engaged in these conversations because they're shaping the world we live in.
For sure.
And who knows, maybe we can even be a part of making that future a reality.
Now, that's an exciting thought. Before we wrap things up, I want to encourage our listeners to do their own research
Yeah,
and form their own opinions.
absolutely.
We've only scratched the surface here today, and there's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. Critical thinking and informed decision-making are more important than ever in this age of information overload.
Right.
Don't just take our word for it. Dig deeper. Question your assumptions and come to your own conclusions.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this bite-sized tech deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring these topics with you.
Thanks for joining me. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.
Yeah,
It's been a really fascinating discussion. And I
definitely.
always feel like I learned so much from these deep dives.
Yeah, for sure.
It's incredible how, technology, finance, even space exploration
Right.
are all becoming, so intertwined.
I agree. It's a sign of the times. We're seeing the convergence of these different fields
Yeah.
in ways we couldn't have imagined just a few years ago.
And it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the people behind it.
Mm.
The visionaries, the entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
the risk takers who are
Mhm.
pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
absolutely.
People like Elon Musk,
Right.
who, despite his sometimes controversial moves, is undoubtedly a driving force behind some of the most significant advancements in technology and space exploration.
Yeah, he's definitely a complex character.
For sure.
But his ambition and willingness to challenge the status quo are undeniable.
Right.
And whether you agree with his methods or not, he's making things happen.
He is. And that's what I find so exciting about this era of innovation.
Yeah,
It's not just about incremental improvements.
right.
It's about bold ideas,
Mm-hmm.
disruptive technologies,
Mm-hmm.
and a fundamental shift in how we think about the future.
For sure.
Like the idea of Bitcoin becoming a strategic reserve for the U.S. economy. That's a concept that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago.
It's a testament to how quickly things are changing,
Right.
and it's a reminder that we need to be open to new ideas and be willing to challenge our assumptions about how the world works.
Well said. And that's what I love about bite-sized tech.
What's up?
It's all about exploring these ideas, having these conversations,
Yeah.
and expanding our understanding of the forces shaping our world.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure diving deep into these topics with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in to Bite-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.